More laws in America pass without anyone actually voting on them than with. Not metaphorically. The single most common way a bill clears the United States Senate is for 3 people to sit in a nearly empty chamber and for nobody to object. The procedure is called unanimous consent. The presiding officer asks one question. Without objection, silence answers back, and the bill is passed. No recorded vote. No quorum required. No tally of who was even in the chamber's 100 seats. In the 110th Congress, the Senate cleared 911 measures. 855 of them went through by unanimous consent. Of the substantive bills and joint resolutions, the ones that actually become federal law, more than 4 out of 5 passed this way, compared to fewer than 1 in 5 that required a recorded roll call vote. Which raises the obvious question, how does the chamber know it has unanimous consent before the chair asks? The answer is the hotline. Each party runs a cloakroom right off the Senate floor with a phone and email system that operates in parallel to the chamber itself. When the majority leader decides to push a bill through unanimous consent, his office sends a hotline alert to every senator's office through both cloakrooms, Republican and Democratic. The message routes through staffers, not the senators themselves. It is simple. This bill will be called up on the floor in roughly an hour. If you have an objection, call us back. If nobody calls back, leadership then treats silence as consent. The bill moves to the floor. By the time the presiding officer asks, without objection, every senator's office has already been polled by a staffer an hour earlier. And this is the part. The floor procedure itself is almost ceremonial. The Constitution requires Congress to be technically in session more often than it really is. So the chamber holds what are called pro forma sessions. A single senator designated by the leader walks in, gavels the chamber to order, then sits through a 30-second reading, then gavels it back out. Banging gavels reverberate in nearly empty chambers. No votes are taken. No business is conducted. The Constitution is satisfied for another 3 days. When a bill is passed during one of these, it's still by unanimous consent. 3 people in the chamber. 1 presides, 1 asks, 1 reads. The bill passes by voice vote, which raises the obvious counter-argument. Every voice vote is technically voting. The chair says, all in favor say aye, opposed nay. Someone in the chamber answers. The chair declares the outcome. No senator's individual position is recorded. No record of how the chamber would have split on a roll call. The Senate Journal will say the bill passed by voice vote. That's the entire record. The loud alternative, the part most people picture when they picture Congress, is Senate Rule 22, the cloture rule. Adopted in 1917 after a group of 12 anti-war senators killed a wartime arming bill by filibustering it for 23 straight days. Originally, Rule 22 required 2/3 of senators present to break a debate, lowered to 60 votes in 1975. That is the procedure for a contested bill. Unanimous consent is the procedure for everything else, and roughly 4 out of 5 substantive Senate bills run through everything else, which means most of the laws Americans live under were passed by a procedure with no recorded vote, no roll call, no tally of who was in favor, and frequently no quorum. It's not a loophole, it's the default. It's been the default since the early 1800s. Congress designed it that way, because actually voting on each bill, one by one, with all 100 senators present, would have ground the chamber to a halt long before the Civil War. Of course, the system depends on a single senator being willing to call the bluff and object. When that happens, the bill drops back into the queue and reverts to the loud procedure. But most of the time, nobody calls. The hotline sends. The cloakroom logs. The chamber gavels in for a minute. The presiding officer asks the empty room one question, and another law goes on the books.